For today's video, I'm going to be breaking down and discussing the relationship between two of the most polarizing groups in the United States of America today. Many of you watching this video right now more than likely identify as either conservative or liberal, Democrat or Republican, as being on the left or the right, being red or blue, being with him or her, or whatever else you can come up with. And I can bet that right now while you're watching this video, you're more than likely trying to figure out which one of those groups I belong to so that you can decide whether you're going to like me or not, or whether you're even going to listen to anything that I'm about to say. Personally, I don't really care which group you guys are a part of, and that's why I'm making this video, really. The point of this video isn't to spread my ideology and try to tell you how you're wrong and I'm right. Actually, there's no politics really in this at all. In fact, what I'm really trying to do is break down the walls that are built up between these two groups by the main media sources that you consume today. And if you're thinking to yourself, oh, he's not talking about me, he's talking about the other side because they're the ones that are biased. No, this video is actually especially made for you. To start this off, I'm gonna make some educated guesses and say that many of you that identify as liberal more than likely listen and prefer news sources like CNN. Now for you conservatives that just rolled your eyes at the simple mention of CNN, I can assume that you follow Fox News and follow their news coverage. I'm sorry to break it to you, but each of these news organizations also have a side. Shocker, right? It'll come as no surprise to many of you when I mention that Fox News tends to shed light on the flaws of Democrats, but then just as quickly jump to defend any mistake made by a Republican or conservative. CNN is of course just as guilty when it comes to shunning Republicans and praising Democrats. Neither company really takes any shame in doing this either. And in most cases, neither group really tries to hide it, and often they just actually take pride in trying to defame every other action of the opposing group. In some cases, reports even come off as hateful and spiteful towards one another as they call each other out for doing something biased even though they both do it. In a country where we can't go a single week without hearing media bias and fake news, you start to wonder which group is actually more biased. Well, in an article written by Stuart Weiss in early 2019, he breaks down multiple different studies, debates, and surveys in order to figure out who is more biased, liberals or conservatives. Quite frankly, Weiss came to the conclusion that we don't really know, and you can't accurately measure bias. Because, of course, if you go and ask anybody who's a liberal who's more biased, they're gonna say it's a conservative, but when you ask a conservative who's more biased, of course they're gonna say it's liberals. Who would have thought that if you ask two biased groups which one of the two are more biased, that they're going to biasly say that the other biased group is more biased? Oh no. Sadly, at the end of the day, we as consumers eat it up, and we love to hear whatever we want to hear, and we just listen to whatever we want to listen to. And we then in turn hate whoever they tell us we're supposed to hate. If a reporter from CNN tells us that a known Republican says something that might be considered racist, many viewers will instantly hate or dislike that Republican. This happens daily on both CNN and Fox News, and it appears to be very clear that their intent is to use this individual as an example of the people within the group that they represent. The problem arises when everyday consumers start to hear the same media message every single day over and over and over again, and that's all they get. When they repeat, this liberal is dumb or that Republican is evil, it is used to convince the viewers to think that all liberals are dumb or that all conservatives are evil, especially when each group is just constantly fed the worst examples of their enemy. However, it would be completely ignorant just to think that all liberals believe and trust everything that all Democrats do and all conservatives believe and trust everything that all Republicans say and do. In an article written by Professor Yasha Monk from Johns Hopkins University, he mentions that many people do not even fully support whatever political party they might identify with. He even goes on to say that although most liberals feel conflicted about the Democratic Party, they really hate the Republican Party. And even though most conservatives feel conflicted about the Republican Party, they really hate the Democratic Party. So even in cases where people are confused and don't really know who they agree with, they definitely know who they disagree with. As mentioned before, companies like Fox News and CNN spend most of their time convincing us as viewers who we are supposed to hate. And any sort of positive news is usually cut out or skipped over for the next slander piece or just straight up replaced for the next hate message. People don't even know who they want to support anymore, so instead they just go against whoever they hate most, even if they hate both options. Now that we know a lot of these big news organizations give us messages in order to hate other political parties, let's figure out how that's actually affected our views on one another. And to do that, I want to bring up the perception gap. The perception gap was a study where the research firm YouGov surveyed thousands of Americans about not only only their own views, but what they thought the views of their opposing party members might be. The results showed that many of the participants greatly overestimated their opposing party members' beliefs. To explain, many of the Republicans voted that they thought the Democrats voted radically left, but then the Democrats thought that the Republicans voted extremely right, when in all actuality, most of the people surveyed voted in the middle with only slightly right or slightly left leanings. During the survey, they also asked each individual how much news media they consumed on average. And what they found was that the people that consumed the most media were the same people that voted the opposite party was the most extreme for their cause. This means those that consumed the most news were the worst at predicting and understanding the extent of the views of the opposing parties. And to make it worse, these were the same people that voted the most extreme for their own party. So was the entire point of this video just to tell you that you're not supposed to be watching mainstream media, or that mainstream media is big and bad and evil? No. It's more just the fact that you need to understand that they're trying to get a message to you. So before you go judging or hating someone because of what you think they are, maybe go start a conversation and talk to them yourself. Figure out who they are as a person and not just what this big media source told you they are. And that doesn't mean that every person you talk to you're going to agree with or instantly like them. It's just more of the idea that you'll probably realize you have a lot more in common than what you think you do, and that just because someone bigger than you told you you're supposed to hate them, it doesn't always mean that you will. So with that, I want to say thank you guys for sticking through this whole video, and I'll see you next time.